Hi, and welcome to another episode. And what we've got here is a Patreon purchase. Basically, what's happened is I've received tips from the nice people that send me a little bit of money every month, and with that, I've managed to make these purchases. Now, it's not that I've purchased it all in one go from from 1 month. I've had to save up for it, but that's fine because tips are always great. And if you would like to take part in that, that's great too. But let's get on with talking about these cassettes, shall we? Now, obviously, they're for the Sinclair Spectrum Plus 2, I believe. Now, this particular set, I don't really know very much about, apart from I know they came out back when I was a kid because I did actually borrow some tapes from a guy that actually had them, but I didn't even know that they came with a manual. I've been searching and searching for years to try to find this collection. I've seen the odd one or two in someone's trying to just get rid of the cassettes that they have, but this was the first time I actually saw all of them together, and especially with the manual. Now we'll talk about those in a moment, but these ones obviously came from Curry's. Now Curry's, by today's standard, is Curry's PC World, but this is when Curry's was joined up with PC World. Now, what I want to point out with these is how boring they look, because they do. You would have got this with a +2 pack, the overlay, the sleeve for the Spectrum box, would have actually said Curry's on it, and you would have got these slung along with it. Now, as you can see, there's no fancy graphics, there's no fancy drawings, there's no graphic design, there's nothing. Well, there is a bit of graphic design, but you know what I mean? There's no, oh, what game's that then? It just says Curry's, name of the game, who made it, and what computer it's for. That's it. And it says what it is on the side. Now, for me, it's a bit annoying it's that way around, but that's just me. Now, inside, though, you get a cassette. Again, nothing like stands out, which is fine. It's just a sticker that, it's not even a sticker. They've written directly onto the cassette. And then the inlay is just very basic. It tells you what you're supposed to do. Now, the one thing I have found quite interesting with these, I mean, not like really, really interesting, but the one thing I found interesting to note is the cardboard for this one I'm just putting away is shiny cardboard or glossy cardboard to an extent. It's not overly glossy, but it's up there. But the cardboard in some of the other games, which is like for like coloured, I mean, we didn't show up too well there because of the glare, but like for like colour is just normal, scratchy cardboard. And again, they put the instructions inside. Sometimes they actually write stuff here as well, but how boring could you get? Now, obviously, they did this because they're trying to keep costs down. Otherwise, it would cost to have the inlays printed properly and all that sort of stuff. Let's move on to these ones. Now, this whole bunch, I have no idea where you got them or how you got them. I believe they came as a pack with a +2. I have no idea if they're newer than those ones. Was it from Dixon's instead? Oh, I have not a clue. The point is that they're just as boring, if not more so, because there was no inlays. I know this because when I borrowed them from a friend at school when I was a kid, they had no inlays. And to top that, they didn't even have cases. He used to just hand me the cassette and told me that they didn't come with anything. I have no idea if there was like a plastic tray and they were all sort of pushed in there and they were so annoying to get in and out. But he would only ever lend me maybe one or two at once, while I had lent him a game one or two at once, so that I could have a go at the games. I cannot remember which games from it I would like playing from them, but again, with these ones, if you want to see which games are which, let me know and I'll make a little episode about them. But let's have a look at the manual. And I've really been chasing these for a long time, because I could remember them, but I couldn't remember what they were called or the stuff. So I've been scouring eBay for months and months and months, and I finally came across them. And I was surprised to find out that there was 10 of them. And on top of that, I was surprised that there was a manual. I never knew. I was never lent the manual when I was a kid. Now, the thing that impressed me when I first opened it up was introducing the Spectrum Games compilation. Please note that some of the games indicated in this booklet have been changed for better ones. So they've printed the booklet and then gone, you know what, that game's rubbish. We're going to stick a different one in. That's the excuse that they're giving anyway. It is suggested that you read the computer manual before going on. I wonder which ones they were, because I don't have a +2 manual at hand to be able to read what it says. And I do wonder. If I do, I've forgotten I've got a +2 manual. And I've never come across it in a +2 manual. But anyway, let's have a quick flick through. So the previous user, I know, has written in this booklet before. At points, they've written side 2. So they knew it was tape 1, side 2. And then they've changed the game from Road Toad to stock. Okay. Tape 2. Let's have a look what's on here. If I'm going too fast for you, let me know by pausing it. Can't tell me physically, obviously, but you can pause it by having a look. Right, Nick Faldo's open. Right. At no point have they said side 2 on tape 2, so I'll have to do that myself at some point. Tape 3, Dark Empire. Look at that for some instructions of a game. Hocus Focus. Side 2. And this has been changed from Corridors of Genin to Mighty Magus. Magus? Don't speak Latin, so I'm not too sure. But on to tape 4. A whole lot of games there. I really wish I could remember the name of the games that I used to like playing. It might have been Mission Omega, actually. That seems to ring a bell. I'd have to see the screen to know. Here we go. They've started saying side 2 again. So there were some games they obviously liked playing themselves, the previous owner, and wanted to make sure they knew they could get straight to it. Tape 6 we're on to. Oh, they do mention side 2 there. Tape 7. Some of these games, and Heathrow, look at this. Sodorf the Sorcerer. Panzer Attack. Mummy. Zoot. Tape 8. Oh, I'm going through as far as I can. Pi R squared. Now that's a thing that you might not have known until you got to secondary school. Right. Let's keep going. I know. Interesting to some, boring to others. But let's have a look. Oh, dear me. That's a whole lot of writing just for the one game. What game was that? I'll have to go back and find out for that one. Whoa, we're still going. Night Flight 2 on disc. Tape 9. Legends of Death. Oh, this one's even more involved. It's even got icons. Drum Dog Star Trader. Mission 3D Tunnel. Blah. 40 plus. Them take no idea what they're trying to say there. Chess player. And on to tape 10. Firestorm. I bet that was the game that I borrowed from him on tape 10. So I did borrow tape 10 from him then. I must have forgotten, because Firestorm, I know I do like that game. The things you find out, and this says Raincoat Agent Orange. It's become. And then that's become Redcoats. Drafts has been changed to Redcoats. After R, after F, it is Agent Orange. So they've moved Agent Orange then from this cassette to a different cassette. That's interesting. And there we go. Was Agent Orange? I'll check that out myself later if they had swapped the two games across. But my point is, if you would like to see any of those games, let me know, and I'll load them up on the Spectrum next, and I'll make an episode out of it. I'm not going to make an episode out of it of every single game gets loaded, but I will do that. So again, thank you very much to my patrons. You know who you are. And For those that don't, you know as well, because their names are up at the beginning and at the end of the episode. And that's what can happen for you too if you decide to do it. But a little purchase of my own. And for those that know me, this one, Lemmings, in a tiny little box. Can you guess which machine it's for? Oh, don't worry about that. That's just a dryer sheet. I always stick them into things where the smell of things I don't like the smell of. So I stick a dryer sheet in. I'd rather smell scented flowers than mold, smoke, other things. That's just me. A little tip from me to you though is to use a dryer sheet and stick it in there for a month or so, and after that it should be okay. If not, stick it in for another month. But believe it or not, this is Lemmings for the Spectrum. Yes, you heard that right. Lemmings for the Spectrum. Now, look at the size of the tape that you get given. What's that? An hour, 2-hour tape? 90-minute tape? 2-hour tape? The point is though, yes, Lemmings came out on the Spectrum, and not a lot of people know it. But here's the little manual for it, explaining everything that there is to explain about Lemmings, because it plays the same. But of course you use a joystick to slide around and highlight things and what you want to do. There is in fact 14 pages in that little manual. And what we can do is turn it over and have a look at the back. Shall we zoom in a little bit? There we go. So there we go. That's the kind of graphics you get. Not as fancy as, say, an Amiga, but still playable. The Crash Smash is by a reward, well, sort of like a label that the Crash magazine would give to a game, you know, as the stamp of approval, and they gave it 91% for the Spectrum. Now, I've never actually played Lemmings on a Spectrum to the full extent. I've only ever played it as a demo. Now, what I would love to have is the versions of it on the Commodore 64, if it actually ever came out on that. I believe there was demos kicking about for it, but I've never actually seen Commodore 64 version of it. And I would love to have a copy of it for the Amstrad CPC, because that would be fun too. I have seen it for the Amstrad, but it was only on disc. I don't know if it actually came out on cassette. If it came out on disc, then that's fine, but you know, it's got to be a price that I can afford. I hope this has been somewhat interesting yet again. I know if you're not into Spectrums, like, but if you like Spectrums and you're in cassettes, this was very, very nice, wasn't it? Please tell me it was. No, next time I'm going to be doing an episode on something. I really haven't figured that one out yet, but I do enjoy Lemmings. So this is one I will be doing. I might even stream it to confuse lots of people in the world that Lemmings actually came out on the Spectrum. I know lots of people also know that it came out on the Spectrum, but lots of people won't really realize by today's standards that it came out on the 8-bits as well, the 8-bit computers. As always, happy gaming.